All right, welcome everybody. We're going to do our weekly recap here for the live chat room ending on June 5th, 2020. And but before we go over the stats, we're going to be talking about a couple different things here, and also we're going to be looking at something different here since I'm not actually trading live anymore in the chat room. We're going to look more at the stats for the day, and we're going to talk a little bit more about the markets, and also when you're trading binaries, how you approach your trades, because that's going to be real important. You're not going to trade binaries like you would trade a stock or a commodity. Okay, those are going to be totally different, not only in the way that we enter, but also in the way that we exit. So let's talk about exits. So when you're trading binaries, you have three options. You can do in the money, you can do an at the money, or you can do an out of the money. And all three of those, depending on how you're trading, requires you to use a different exit approach. And that's one of the things that I teach in the core strategy is how do you exit. You don't so if you're trading in the money, you're not going to exit the same way you're trading out of the money. So that's something that is real important to learn, because the way that you're approaching this market is really going to depend on what kind of premium you're getting. Depending on what kind of premium you get is going to dictate how you're going to exit that position. Okay, so if you are a Nadex trader and you're using a different method than I use, then you're going to want to take a look at how are you exiting based on how you're entering. If you're always entering in the money, that's going to be, one way of exit. But if you're going to be entering, if you have an approach that trades deep out of the money, then you're going to want to have a different exit approach. And it's like I said, it's going to be based on the type of method you're using, and it's also going to be based on your premium. So that's going to be real important. Okay, so what I did this week is I'm going to break down the stats on a day-by-day basis so we can take a look at them, and then we can also look at the average, which we're used to looking at on prior videos. Also, these are what I call naked. These are the naked signals, or the naked setups. What that means is that if you were to blindly trade every buy or blindly trade every short setup that comes along, this is what those stats would look like. Now, we do have filters that we use. We have several different filters that we use to filter out, when the markets are getting choppy. So even though you look at these stats, remember, these are naked stats, no filtration. So it's not reflective of how your results are going to be. You could be trading in a day where you look at the naked stats and you're looking at a 50%, like on the night for the Aussie, which actually is quite out of tune, really out of phase for what we would expect on something on the Aussie on a night session. But nonetheless, that doesn't mean that you're only going to be 50% right on your trades. If you use the right filtration, some of the things that we teach you, you can increase this to 70-80% on your trades. Once again, it's going to come through what kind of filtration you're using and other things that we look at. So, but these are naked stats, and you can see overall they do give you an above average expectation of how the trade does. Also, these stats, when I have a low stat like here on the Aussie, I see it a really low night session here, only hitting at 50%. That gives me an indication of what the next session is going to be like. Just like if I have a really high stat, if you come down over here and you look at Tuesday night, you see you only had 4 trades though, so this is really not statistically that important. But nonetheless, 4 trades, 100%. That also gives me an indication of what the next morning session is going to look like for the pound. And so that's a real important thing. Typically, just to give you an idea of what I'm talking about, is when we're trading during the day, we look at the first part of the morning and we look at our stats, and that also gives us an idea of what pair is going to have the stronger stats based on some of the other pairs. So if I'm running really below, if I have an Aussie, say US, that's typically should be somewhere in the 75% range, 80% range on average. If I'm running low in the morning, that tells me that particular pair is going to be strong in the afternoon. That's real important. And I've got hundreds of days that show that that is the case. So that's an important thing that we look at. So there's a lot of different things when you're trading binaries you want to be looking at, because it will give you an indication of when or when not to be trading a particular pair on top of the other filtration. So it's like you have these multiple filtrations that you can start getting very highly selective in your trades. Obviously, the more filters you use, the less trades you're going to have. But you tend to have better trades or more winning trades by using those filters. So if you're somebody that has a time and you can be a trader, a 5-minute trader and spend several hours in the market, then you have to be patient. If you're not, say you don't have the time to do any kind of day trading, then you want to start looking at more of the daily signals, and we're going to go over those in just a minute. But once again, like anything else, if you're trading during the day and you're used to having 17 trades in just one morning session, and then you have another 6 at night, this is not even a full day. You're looking at, anywhere between 22 to, 15 to 20 to 25 trades in a day. And you're trading the Aussie US on a daily basis. In other words, you're putting, every time you have a setup on a daily basis, you're putting a trade on and getting out the next day. Do you evaluate how you did on the Aussie US over 1 month when you may have already had 2 or 3 trades? It doesn't mean anything. So when you're trading, if you're a daily trader, you have to look at your results over a longer period of time. When you're a short-term trader, then we can look at our results over a shorter period of time. So we like to look at our results. I like to personally look at my results on a day-by-day basis, and that just depends on how good you are as a trader. If you're not a great trader, then you really want to look at your daily or your 5-minute trading, your day trading. Maybe look over your results over a period of a week instead of a day. So that's you have to have realistic expectations on what you're dealing with. But for me, my preference has always been in my 39 years of trading to be a very short-term trader, because the moves are a lot easier to predict over a short-term basis than they are over a long-term basis. So that's kind of my bread and butter. Has always been short-term. It has not been long-term. And also, I never like carrying positions, for a 23 or 24-hour period, because that's a lot harder for me to predict what's going to happen than it is where the market's going to go over the 5-minute period of time. So anyway, these are the stats for the week. So let's go look at our average. On average, if you compare this to what we've seen over the past several months, this is really below average for most of these pairs here. You can see, and what's very interesting is pound, which is kind of always been the weakest of all of them. It's really surprised to see that even hitting at 75% at night. I just don't think it had a lot of trades. But even on average, even on your Aussie and your US, which is what I recommend the new traders stick with, even on the naked stats, even though it is above 50%, still pretty low from what we've seen. So this does give me some indication that we should start seeing a really good week coming up. With these kind of low numbers, I should expect some much better naked stats coming into this coming week here. Okay, the second week of June should be a really good week. So that kind of gives me just kind of a heads up. Nothing's perfect, but it does kind of give me a heads up of what to expect here coming up on some of these pairs. Okay, I would expect probably everything else is pretty much going to stay the same. Pound is overall, it's probably pretty much where it's going to be. Night session probably won't be as strong, but definitely be looking to see some much better opportunities in the Aussie US and the Euro US. Okay, US yen's been doing better, so I'm starting to incorporate for my own personal trading a lot more in the US yen as well. Okay, so let's take a look. We can take a brief look at, and let's take a look at the charts here. Let's just go. What we're going to do here is I'm also going to be updating these on a daily basis. So if you want to look at these, you have to go to Instagram. You just go to Pro Strategies and go ahead and get signed up there. And I'll be releasing these on a nightly basis. So you not only look at the stats, but I'm going to show you an example of the Aussie and the Euro. Only because I don't recommend the pound and the US yen. I do keep stats on everything, but we'll take a look at those charts. So let's just look at, I think this is going to be, this is June 1st. So this is going to be Monday. So this is going to be Monday morning session. So let's get switched over here to the charts. Okay, so this once again is just really an example of what you see. This is going to be two of the pairs. We have a total of 7 that we look at, but this is but we have 4 main ones that you've been seeing as far as the stats are related. And this is of the Aussie US, the Euro US, which is what I reckon. If anybody's trading binaries, these seem to be the 2 most active. Besides the yen, but the Aussie and the US and the Euro US tend to have the higher naked stats. So right out of the gate, you're going to have an advantage because you're going to have some pretty high percentages behind your trades, not taking into account any kind of filtrations. But this is kind of an example of what you see when you come into the live chat room. There are some things missing here. Number one, there's going to be some additional arrows that you don't see here. And also there's some other patterns that you're not seeing that we've traded. But what you're seeing here, these are all what we call PAP setups, PAP setups, and wins and losses. And of course, this is real important whenever we're looking at our wins and losses. Losses are opportunities for us. We know a lot about losses. They tell us whether we want to take the next trade, whether we want to add on or not add on, and so forth. So losses are not negatives, okay? Losses for us are opportunities. So we kind of look at markets a lot differently than most people do. But what you'll see when we look at our stats, we have further stats here that show us when we want to add after certain trades. Do I want to add after this win? Do I want to add after this loss? All those things are important based on some of the other things that we're looking at. So, but this is basically what we see every day, not included in the other 2. There is some additional filtration that's in here, but this kind of gives you an idea of what a typical morning will look like. And this is just a morning. This is not at night. And I think our stats are running around, 75%, I think, on Monday morning. So we want to take a look at that chart. And let's see here. Let's take a look at our daily setups real quick to see where we are coming into the 1st of June. And we'll go ahead and wrap this up. Okay, so here we are. This is day 48. This is going to be June 1st. This is where we are coming into the beginning of the month. Once again, back in April, I started with a small little $500 account. Came into June at approximately... these trades are all open right here, so I think I'm somewhere around the 900 mark or something like that. We did have a pullback going into further into June, but don't really want to look at it until we get to the end of the month to kind of see where we are. But still a decent return based on starting with $500. Now, this is a thing. This is the thing about the dailies. Once again, dailies is not my preference. Because dailies takes, you have to look at things over a longer period of time instead of on a day-by-day basis. Also, if you're looking to generate, quicker revenue, I don't think dailies are the way to go. I like 5 minutes. 5 minutes are going to get you closer to what you would consider to be a daily paycheck. Don't think you can do that with the dailies. 5 minutes. I mean, the 5 minutes of short term is going to get you more, closer to, making money on a daily basis instead of trying to make money over months and months basis. So the things about the dailies that I'm learning is that you really, not only do you have to be patient, but there will have to be some sort of sizing adjustments. Everything I've been doing at this point have been single contracts. I have not altered the size of my contracts at all. That's something that I'm going to need to do at some point. I haven't figured that out yet because I don't have a long enough track record. And once again, the only reason I'm doing these daily setups is because some people prefer that, but it's not my cup of tea. But nonetheless, I figured I'd put my money on it and just see what I can do with it on a daily basis. So, I may only be up, 30, 40%. which if you look at any kind of investment, once again, that's not a bad return over a few months' time. So, but if you're not happy with those kind of results and you're looking at a shorter time frame, then you have to trade. You have to be a day trader, and you're gonna have to trade the 5 minutes. That's just the reality of it. I don't think anybody is going to be able to. You see these guys on the internet, and they're putting down 50, 60, 70, 100 positions on at a time. Realistically, I don't think anybody's going to really be doing that. I don't think anybody's going to be risking $8,000, $9,000, on any one trade to be. I mean, so that's kind of most of them are doing it in a demo account. But if you're going to be trading your own account, I'm sure you're only going to be doing ones and twosies. So this is going to be a lot more realistic of what somebody could expect. Trading dailies without having to put on any kind of crazy size. But anyway, I'm still doing ones. We'll continue to do ones through all the month of June. We're looking to see where we are at July 1st. I'll have to decide how I'm going to make modifications. Do I want to add more size? When am I going to add size? I am starting to get a little bit of indication of when I want to do that. But I want to get through the end of this month, and then I'll decide whether I'm going to start playing with size or just not even trade the dailies, because once again, that's not my preference. But nonetheless, I think I can make these dailies work, and I've got my money on it, and so far they seem to be working. So we're just going to continue out to the end of this month and see where we are. But anyway, that's kind of where we are 1st of June, and that's going to be it for this week. So get the Pro Strategies on Instagram. I'm going to start doing updates on the stats and the charts on a daily basis. We'll continue to do these recaps at the end of the month. And once again, if you're interested in my method, just go to binaryprostrategies.com. Provide me with an email address. I'll send you my free fundamental video, which I'm not sure how much longer I want to provide that free fundamental video. There's a lot of really good information in there. So you can still get a hold of that free fundamental video. And also, if you need to ask me questions, once again, if you have questions, please try to provide them all in one email and not break them up into 3 or 4 emails, because I'm a one-man shop. Well, two-man. I've got a girl here that really, she does all the emails now for me, but I'm still very busy answering emails, trying to help my traders in the chat room and so forth. So if you can concise everything for me in one email, that would be the best. But anyway, you can do that by just going to binaryprostrategies.com, and there's a contact there email. You can go ahead and shoot me an email with your questions. Be glad to answer those for you. So that's it. Hope everybody have a great week. I'm looking forward to this week. I'm looking forward to this Sunday night. Love Sunday nights, and I think this next week is going to be a lot stronger. So if it is, it's time. Like I always say, when you're having a good day, you can always tell a good day when it starts off. You want to push it, because that's what's going to get your account to grow, right? So when things are going good and everything's hitting, that's when you want to be pushing it. And when things get choppy, that's when you lighten up. But that all comes with experience. So that's it. I hope everybody have a great week, and we'll see you at the next recap next week. Take care.